योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्.
Hi, welcome to the parallel interview session of the course HRM for non-HR managers. I'm Margi Parikh, and as you know, we have been conducting the programmed sessions parallelly with the interview sessions. Interview sessions, as you know, are complementary to what you learn in the formal program sessions. Today in the studio, I have with me Mr. Sanjay Kaushik, who is Regional Director Operations, and he is with the Radisson Hotel Group. Sanjay, thank you for coming to the studio, especially making this trip from Delhi to Ahmedabad for this interview session. Welcome very much and thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Sanjay, you gave me your card. It says you are Regional Director Operations South Asia, Radisson Hotel Group. Can you describe for our participants here what kind of responsibilities you are handling? What does your role entail?
So as an operator, I personally feel we are people's men, because we have people on the three side of the business. People at the employee level, people at the guest level, and people at the investors level, which is our stakeholders.
Correct.
And all the people are human being, and when we talk about human being, and we talk about human being management, which is HR management, as a resource, what we see, everybody have their own needs, and everybody have their own aspirations. Our role becomes more critical because we have to bridge the gap between all the three stakeholders. And I'll like to quote an example of an employee. When they come and join, their aspiration is to grow and to earn livelihood for their family. As an investor, he has invested the money and he want to have a return of investment on his investment. And as a guest, he is paying for services and he want to get a great experience. So our responsibility become to bridge the gap between guest experience with the employee aspirations. If they grow, if they learn with us, they are able to deliver the services. The guests feel they're getting value for money. The guest pays the bill and happy and repeat the organization. Then we feel that the return of investment for the investor comes. So, and all the three aspects, we are very careful that we are able to make them feel happy at home. Also, they feel safe and secure with us. And in terms of sales and secure, it becomes very critical for us to ensure people are safe by the fire, life safety. The insurances are on place. The structure in such a manner, there is a CCTV so that female employee feels safe with us in different locations of the hotel. And also the guest feels safe that in case something goes wrong, and forbidden, nothing happened in past 10 years on any of our hotels. But we are very careful in terms of our safety and security, also the well-being of our people who are in-house, guests, employees, and also from the stakeholders' point of view, investors of their money with the investors. So in totality, it is very important for us to be connected to those human beings, and we are able to give them a right platform where we train them, we give them a right standard operating procedures, so they are comfortable in doing their responsibilities. And they are not performing well, we have a right talent management system to find the training need analysis of those individuals, give them a right training. Also, if they're doing very well, we make a succession planning for them to grow. And if they're not doing great and we consistently failing, we also go into process of giving them counselings, career path, and 99.9% they grow by these exercise or tool which you use for internal development. Everybody who is a guest is also HR manager, because on the other side he is also handling a human being. So empathy, understanding, emotions become part of our business.
You actually talk like a very well-grounded human resource manager, but I know that you come from a very different background. So for our viewers here, can you please describe how you graduated from where and how you have evolved to this position of yours?
So I started my professional journey as a sportsman. I used to play judo for state level, and then I joined Central Industrial Security Force, which is a police paramilitary force. I worked with them for 5 years, a great 5 years of learning. The training and the laws and also how discipline, ways of working, and with sports itself was bringing a lot of self-discipline and work hard and stressed goals, pressures. So all those things was coming by default in my way when I was growing in my career. And then I started a hotel as a cashier in ITC Morris Sheraton in 1995. I started my journey, and then I graduated slow and gradually. The way organic growth can happen, and I was fortunate. I had a great mentors in my life which kept on coming and grooming me, keeping me in pressure, performance demand, and all these things has really. And I will go back to my sports time to now. I always says that a human factor was a very very influencing factor on me, where we know that that as a human being we have a high capabilities. We can we can do wonders if we are able to have a right directions, right mentors, and also right career goals in front of us.
Well, some time back you were mentioning that when it is about writing the job description or deciding the responsibilities of stewards or waiters, hotels often conduct things like time study. So can you please, for our participants here, describe how time studies are done, how on the basis of time study you decide what will be the job of a given person who handles a given designation in your hotel?
See, time motion study is a very scientific study which has been done to understand how a motion, an activity when start and to the end. We timed it in the framework of half an hour each. Like in school we used to have a timetable. It is same methodology which we use at work also. We know that from this time to this time the person has done this time to this time, because all the functions in the hotels are interlinked with each other, whether it's a front office with the housekeeping with food and beverage, and beverage with finance. So if you see, it's like a cobweb, which means that everybody have to do some different work after certain time. So when we do a time motion study, we actually know how that person is clearing one bridge to another bridge, another roadblock to the third roadblock, and that's where we put a time motion study. We understand where that person is wasting a lot of time and where we can help him to handle and manage that gaps and remove those burden from his his logistic approach of time motion, and help him out to deliver better, also feel comfortable working with us, and that is very important because 90% of the people who joined our entry level are young graduates from hotel management. They are skilled and semi-skilled, and some are now non-skilled, with now the new skill development program started by the government,
yes,
which is very good. We are able to get a lot of talent which was completely non-skilled, but now because of that training they are becoming a semi-skilled, and it is important for them to understand how the organization work, and with the timetable we give them a structured roadmap on which they have to work, and it helps them in making themselves better, efficient. Also, it also helps the organization and also the people, as I mentioned about the other stakeholder, which is the guest, to have a consistent service deliveries.
Yes.
Because he expect, when he comes, somebody will pull the chair for him, he will sit down, somebody will then ask for water, then somebody will offer him a menu card, and then repeat the order and bring the right stuff. So all these need a very clear time motion study, that as soon as the guest come after, immediately you have to pull the chair, make the guest comfortable. Within speculative 3 minutes time he have to offer water, then within 2 minutes time he have to offer a menu card, he have to wait for at least 3 minutes to 4 minutes depending on the gesture of the guest, and then he have to take the order, and what is a time gap in which he have to announce to the guest, sir, within 15 minutes your order would be on the table. So all these things have a lot of scientific approaches, because the guest have a clear expectations from that particular brand where he is dining, and he expect that to happen in that way, and he has been experiencing same brand experience in different location. So to maintain the consistency and the right service delivery, and also help the human being also, our steward also feel very comfortable, because he knows what had to be done at what
Yes.
time. So it is not an impromptu, it's not something, he will be having some bad time with the guest or with his bosses when it is not delivered rightly. So I feel it is a very structured approach where it's helping all the stakeholders.
So from your description, what I understand is that when a new employee comes, you must be paying a lot of attention to the employee orientation and onboarding. Once the employee becomes functional, you must be introducing a lot of service benchmarks or quality standards, and then you must be training the employee, watching their performance. All these are human resource management functions. So can you shed some more light on that? How do you integrate employee onboarding, introduction of performance benchmarks, monitoring and control, performance evaluation, rewards and incentive, and as you said, succession planning and career growth? How do you interlink all of these?
The brands like ours have a full structure in system. But I would like to go back and say, if it is not a brand, again, it is a need. And we know that, we are on need of each other. And that's the reason we meet in terms of employee coming to the organization. He need a job, he need to grow. Organization meeting employee, he need him to run his business. And investor investing the money because he need to have a return on investment. So it is actually a need. When it's a need, we generally make training need analysis.
Correct.
An employee comes, he have a different attributes because when employee come, he come from different diversity background, his education, his family background, which community he is coming from. All this have 60% influence on his personality when he enters an organization. But once he enters the organization, we want him to actually adapt the business. And when we have to make him adapt the business, we have to do lot of carving work on his personality. And this carving work is actually a training. We say, okay, gentlemen, you are a great person with a different personality. Welcome on board, and we have 10 more people with you. Again, diverse personality, diverse culture, diverse thought process. Now we have to curve it as per the need of the organization. And that's time our training manager and HR manager start working on their personal attributes. We understand how they are, and that's part of our interview system to understand. And now we are also introduce psychometric test, which is a very in-depth understanding about how the person think, because it's a people industry. We cannot have a person who is having any kind of destructive mindset coming and interacting with the people of different nationalities. Though it's a hotel, but it's actually a national representation.
Yes.
If any international guest getting any kind of damage in country, it actually comes to a national international news, and it becomes very bad face for us to go back, and it become a national issue rather than one organization wrong training issue. So that becomes very critical for all of us to be very sensitive about their personality. So we curve the personality by our structured training program, which bring them into one platform. And we share our expectation from them time and on during our training period. And all the modules are designed based on the organizational expectations from them. Also in between Viva, we also find out what are their understanding. So we actually get to know by the feedback what they understood. We do some kind of question answer sessions, also some kind of case studies to them to understand how they are taking our learning during that induction period. And once they are finished 20 days of their induction training, Then we put them on a live on action, which is their shop floor training work. And that time also their supervisor is observing them, making notes of their training needs, and whatever gaps that they go back and give to training. So we just then, that's only a refresher training for maybe 2 days. We may take that person off shift, or we give them some kind of learning on the shift, like a Japanese training called Gamba. So Gamba is observing
Source.
yourself. So we use CCTVs as a tool to to tell them this is how you behaved in front of the guest, and this is how you can improve yourself. This is how you deliver the services, and this is how you can improve yourself. So all these tools are used very productively to make sure that employee take in a positive sense. So even though we are giving a structured training, we have to be very careful that it actually the person take is very positive sense, that it's a constructive feedback coming to him, rather than telling them that you're not performing well. So immediately his enthusiasm level goes from 80 to 20%, and
Yeah.
whatever you tell after that, he's not accepting it. So we have to be very focused on the human attributes while we are giving the training to them. And then as the person grow in the organization, we see his quarterly reviews and half yearly review. We give a feedback, and then we make sure that if the person performing, we put him on succession planning. If the person is continuously doing mistakes, we also identify it's a skill mistake or is a personality, which is your attitude mistake, and then accordingly we deal in a fashion whether the person need a classroom training, external training, or a counseling by person who was. Sometimes we also engage some psychologist to help us out. The
External
new
expert.
external psychologist who can come and talk to the person, understand it's going under some trauma, family background, some social issues which is impacting his work, because our work is not work, it's people.
Right.
It's about reputation. It's about human reflection. Example is a wedding is happening, something goes wrong. Our employee had done something wrong, which has impacted the whole influence. The wedding is only going to happen once in his lifetime. The person, the
Correct.
host, and the person will always carry that experience with him throughout his life, because that's not a repetitive exercise is going to happen. That event
Yes.
will not going to happen again. So it is very sensitive. It's a one time. It's like a stage show. It's done forever. So we have to be very careful. We are all have to be human resource manager.
You say this very easily, but I know that in practice it may not be that easy. And I also know that in your tenure in past, you have managed to get several properties under your leadership to score 10 out of 10 on Balance Scorecard. And Balance Scorecard is a methodology or approach which contains very diverse collection of performance measurement criteria. Can you tell me what kind of challenges you face? How do you get so many people to perform according to the expectation so that the entire group of hotels scores 10 out of 10? That's not very frequent, right? That's next to rare.
Yeah, it is. I don't take it as a challenge though, but I will tell you an aspect in a very different fashion. It's more of two aspects which is a highlight of this continuous success. One is be very focused on your critical path. So every recipe which you make, if it is structured, if it is documented, we have to do religiously follow that process which is laid down, but that process need to be defined every time when it needs some corrections.
Okay.
If you feel that market doesn't work with that process, on right time we have to change that. And again, those tools like time motion studies, continuous connection with your employees and the guest and the stakeholders give us a lot of inputs about how that process is working. Is it working rightly, or is need some corrections? So we don't continue the process because it was set. We also keep on making it dynamic based on the needs.
You give it business perspective.
Business, reputation, employee satisfaction. There's so many prospects. So there's so many connections coming to one dashboard, which is your modulation of your SOPs. So this is one aspect. Another aspect is a spiritual aspect.
Yes.
As it's a human industry. It's not service. Saying service to the industry is very demeaning it. Because it is not only services, it's more than service, like experience, one time feel. It's so much of human being inside.
Right.
So I will take it one aspect as a spiritual, because as a human being we all have spirits inside, and if we are able to understand the people whom we are managing or talking to or delivering to, that bring us on a very different level, that we use all those attributes like empathy, understanding, going out of the way, being flexible. All those things comes when you actually become a bit spiritual only, because at the end of the day, both the side are people, and expectation is quite clear. When the expectation is very clear, then it is much easy for us to understand what is an expectation level on the other side. We have to connect with the spirit and personality of that person inside his role, rather than treat 20 steward like a steward, and 50 front office people like a front office people, and the people who are cleaning, we take them as a cleaner. So they all are human being. If you are able to fix that part of their personality, those management study doesn't teaches us. But when we go to implementation of those studies, that is a very important tool which we have to use in the modern world, because people are now very aware of their rights. They are very aware and influenced by the social media. They are very savvy on social media. So anything which is not coming as a guidance to them, they take it as instructions, and instructions are always not taken positively. So that's a mix I have used in my career to have a balance of numbers with the people, using people attribute as my high tide to achieve the numbers. I will place human resource management above than our expertise to get numbers.
Right.
Numbers is a deliverable. So I think once you have a right people at right place, they all are motivated, they have a directions very clear, and there's a check systems of their performance, succession, and sometimes exits. Unfortunate if the performance is continuously declining. As an organization, profit making organization, we have to have all the yardsticks in our place. The numbers comes in.
Sanjay, what you are saying reminds me of culture, and you have international exposure. You've been to several countries. How do you say the management practices differ in other countries and in India?
So India is as itself is a country of diversities. A lot of in India we have around 20 languages spoken, so many cultural differences. But when we compare from the international countries, when we go to different countries, every country have their own ways of working. I'll just pick up two countries as example. One is Middle East, where a lot of people from India, Lebanon, Philippines, they come and work there. Also, a lot of Australian and Americans are there on a management positions. But when we talk about how they work, they have a very filtered system of reaching there.
I see.
Because the local are not interested in working in hotels generally, and the people from different country, and the screening system happens at the country level itself.
Okay.
So the people there reaches there who have been 3 levels screened, and they are fit in the economic compensation bracket, and they know what they have to do. Their visas checked, and their systems are checked. They work on a very structured, fast moving systems, where every week they are paid for their services. They have a weekend. They have a whole lot of human support in terms of the vacations going on. So it's very structured manpower ways, and the emotional aspect is very minimal. Their employee engagement level is quite minimum. They must be doing some what you call the set pattern resources, which means can be yearly get-togethers, monthly town hall, but they are not actually human interactions. It's not engagement. They are activities. While coming back to India, we have a diverse culture. People have their different, emotional levels, ego levels, and when we open an organization, we really don't have a filter. So we take people based on our needs
or relationship.
India works on relationship. So many people comes on relationship with no skill, attributes in them at that moment of time. So for us, it become critical that we create a right culture inside, and we treat them as one team.
Okay.
So when they come as isolated human beings, and when they come in a culture, we create a culture of togetherness.
Right.
Work better together, aim high. So we use all those terminology to create a culture of cohesiveness.
Right.
Achieving the goals, their own development, the development of the thing, take care of the asset. Take care of the maintenance of the building, take care of the people who comes and use your services. So so many things we have to inject in their mind, which they are subconsciously aware of it, but we have to bring them out of their personality by continuous questioning, by continuous prompting, and that's what the culture is all about.
Right. So on one hand we have culture. On the other hand, we have very rapidly technology being adopted in the organization. So in future, in time to come, where do you see the role of technology?
See, technology is always a support system. It would be very, it is not reasonable to say they will replace human being.
Okay.
On the other hand, they are a helping factor for us. They help people to perform better. Okay. I'll give example of artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
Where so much data is churned, and it actually gave a reflection of what is an expectations. So earlier it used to be more of opinion, people telling this is what I expect, this is what the guests expect. Now because of this technology integration coming in our systems, we are able to really find out, for example, what are the type of nationality which stays in our hotels. So is it which nationality is predominant? Can be Americans, can be Middle East, can be Europeans, can be British, can be Indian itself. So if you see a mix, that 25% is international, and rest 75 is domestic travelers which move from different part of the country itself. So that gives us a clear indication what are the cultural etiquettes we need to train our people in. For example, a Japanese guest who doesn't like to shake hands. The Chinese people generally don't like eye contact. Or a Britishers we doesn't like a kind of a body language which can make them unhappy or uncomfortable. So we have to educate based on our artificial intelligence information which comes from the data. That we have to give that kind of training which make them more competent at work. And even in domestic, if you see people from Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, Gujarat, Assam, Kolkata, they have their own separate personalities. So if we see our mix of a guest who is coming are predominantly coming from one particular geography, we train our people to make themselves comfortable with them, and that helps us a lot. And artificial intelligence is a kind of yardstick for us, is a helping tool. It will never take away human attributes, but it is only a support system, and it's up to you. How do you want to use the technology for? You want to replace, and if you are not able to meet up with the speed, maybe in 10 years from now, you may have some kind of displacement happening from human resources, but that is only depending on how fast we adapt to the technology and use it to your own benefit, like a high tide riding, or you drown under it. If you're not competent enough, if you're not growing yourself with it, if you're not taking advantage of it, the technology will take advantage of yourself. They will overrule you. So and that's our role comes into play, where we give them we allow them to use the benefit of these technologies and be ahead of them.
Well, one thing I'm wondering about is how much of human resource management focus should a manager have, and how should it be balanced with the business focus? Because one of the important roles of a human resource manager is also a business partner. So how exactly human resource management partners with the business? What is your take on that?
So Maggie, there is no percentile factor in it. So we can't say you have to be 30% human resource mindset and 70% business, because that equation may not work. Because you know, as I said, everywhere we have a human being. I personally say it has to be 100% in both the side.
Okay.
The reason why is because at the end of the day, who is going to deliver? We are not in a manufacturing industry where we put one product and same product will come out of the other side of the machine. It's a human. We tell one person to pick up a glass and give it to a customer. The way he give the glass, maybe following the right SOP, he may deliver it right, but his body language may not be make comfortable the guest.
Yeah.
So it is not what you put in, the same thing come out. So the business cannot work if we are not human resource, and on a vice versa, if you're not having a right business, you will not have funds for people to give away in terms of incentives, their succession planning, their incremental increments, their well-being. I think it's so much connected with each other. We cannot isolate, and we can't put any percentile to it. We have to be first a human resource, because then only we will understand the need of three stakeholders, so people, guests and our stakeholders. On the other hand, we have to be very smart and critical in terms of setting up a time motion study, right processes, monitor them, give them succession planning so they're motivated, happy, enjoy, and they deliver the best experience for the people who are coming inside the hotel, and the guest go enjoy and go safe out of the hotel when he check out, and again come back because he feels it's
you
a
want
right place.
repeat business.
It's a repeat business, and also recommend us outside, where and tell about us to the market that this is how I was handled. I was so happy, and my memories become so deep inside my mind. It's all coming from people. So it's a 100% integration. It cannot be separated.
Well, on the concluding note, Sanjay, what would be your message to our participants here?
My message would be very clear and straight, that the people comes first. If your people are engaged, happy, they see their success with you, then only their performance level will add to your performance, and their contribution would be much higher than you even expect from them. There are so many examples like Ratan Tata, Mr. Adani, Gautam Adani, and other industrialists who has been very successful because they were always taking care of their people, and the people were taking care of the business. If that geography and mathematics works very well, then I think it's a great idea to adopt. People comes first, and they are the people who make you successful in your business.
On this note, we come to the end of this interview. Sanjay, thank you very much for spending this time and taking out your time to come here and sharing your thoughts, opinions and experience with our participants. Many thanks.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you.